welcome to another episode of Car Thoughts. I wanted to talk about something that I've never been really that open about until quite recently. Today would be my first time being open about it, verbally, I suppose, since if y'all have been following my stories, I post a lot, quite frequently, about, the whole shift in dimensions that we're supposedly going through right now. And there's been a lot of ancient texts, Mayan calendar, a lot of evidence pointing to this time, 2012 and after, being a very pivotal, unprecedented, evolutionary time in human history. And from the information that I've gathered from years of research and just being pretty obsessed with this topic, is that we're basically going through an iOS system update as a species, and we don't know exactly how this is going to play out. We don't know exactly what the world is going to look like, but it is changing right now. And it may look chaotic, but with every transition, there's always a period of chaos and disorder. And that's just a natural part of the cycle. I'm so excited about the transition we're about to go through, even though a lot of us want to latch on to what we know and what we're familiar with. I've been through it all of my life, wanting to latch on and hold on to certain relationships, certain items, certain, just levels of comfort. But every time I try to hold on to it and attach myself to the things I'm familiar with, the more stagnant and unsatisfied and uncomfortable I begin to feel. This tension begins to build up because I know that my soul yearns for growth and expansion and uncertainty and the unfamiliar and newness. But my ego wants to latch onto what it knows and what it's familiar with and comfortable with. And so I've been through a lot of, cycles of letting go. But you gotta let go in order to bring in the new. And the new is always something that will benefit you more in the long term. I think we experience tension and discomfort because we're no longer at a match with what we've known. For instance, I quit my job. I got a 9-to-5 right after college, and I quit it after 4 or 5 months. And I remember the last month, the tension just built so much, and the voices in my head were just telling me to quit. And I remember going to for lunch, going to the little telephone room and crying my eyes out because I knew I had to leave, but I didn't know how I was gonna pay rent. I didn't know, I was scared. And it's a natural emotion that arises when we let go of what we're familiar with, but we have to lean into that uncertainty in order to grow. And lo and behold, I quit my job, and it was very difficult, and I went through a lot of challenges and uncertainty and anxiety through the whole process, but I'm still alive, better than ever. And honestly, that was one of the best decisions of my life, because when I quit that job, that opened a portal to new opportunities that suddenly just flowed into my life. And I got another job at Life Alive, where I met a ton of beautiful, amazing souls that just helped me become more of who I was. And so that was, it's like, you might not know what's in store, like the next step, but like you just have to trust. And so to circle that back into my original point, I think we are, as a collective, going through this leveling up process, ascension, a lot of people call it, upgrades, stuff like that, where we have to let go of what we're familiar with as a society, because obviously how it's structured right now is not working for all of us. It's working for a very select few people. I think we've gotten to a point where we're just like, fuck it, we're done being slaves. We're done enslaving ourselves to this system that no longer works for us. It doesn't allow us to have time to do what we love and to spend time with our family and just to freaking relax, because we're always constantly worrying about paying the bills. And it's like, we kind of like created that for ourselves, so you can blame, those in power. But we did choose this, because ultimately our collective thoughts, beliefs, and emotions create reality. And, those in power created fabricated this matrix, or whatever you want to call it, through brainwashing, pretty much, through media, billboards, like ads. Everything you see around you is made to trigger fear, to trigger lack, scarcity, to trigger the feelings of not being good enough, so that you are in a constant cycle of looking externally outside of yourself to satisfy you, because you don't feel whole. You feel like you don't feel good enough, so you gotta go out and buy all this makeup, buy all this clothes, get a cool car, get promoted and shit. And it's a constant rat race to what? To where are we trying to get to? Because we're not gonna bring anything that we've accumulated back, after we die, back to the other side. We leave all that shit behind. And anyway, so this fear-based system that we live in is crumbling. A lot of people are scared and resisting what's happening, but we need to wake up and realize that this is just the beginning. This is the beginning to a beautiful world that we will get to live in once all this disorder, once the storm is over with. The storm sometimes needs to happen to clear out old debris, old shit that no longer is serving us. Quite frankly, this is no longer serving us. And so what I feel and what I've heard from different sources is that we're going to have a new money system, financial system that works for all of us. I mean, everything will be uprooted and replaced, and the basis of that is the financial system, because that's how we thrive and live and survive. It's off money. But I also believe, that there's free energy technology, which has been a thing for many, many years now. I don't know the science behind it complete, because I'm not a huge, I'm not really good at explaining scientific things. But apparently this technology can harness the electromagnetic field that's all around us. And so we can pretty much generate energy off of nothing. Burning coal, oil, all that shit, that's all just so archaic at this point. With the technology that we can't, even solar panel and wind, nah, dude. The future is free energy technology, and once this is in the hands of the public, there's going to be so much abundance and freedom, because now we're not working our days away to pay for the energy we need to live and for the food. Like, we'll be able to grow our own shit and power our own shit with the technology that's gonna come out. But anyway, so what I think is gonna happen is disclosures of many things that have been hidden by the powers that be, and that is technology, very advanced technologies that will free us from this rat race. Aliens, for sure. The secret space force that we have. I don't know too much about that, but intergalactic space travel, hell yeah. And there's already people who have like extrasensory abilities and capabilities. Like, I have a friend who is a definite psychic, and so I think we'll be definitely experiencing a lot more of that as we upgrade. What else? Disclosure. Oh yeah, disclosure. I mean, this isn't something that I'd prefer focusing on because I can get kind of wrapped up in it emotionally, but disclosures of the very heinous, very corrupt, unimaginable things that the cabal, the powers that be, do, under the surface. That information I think will definitely be coming out this year, and maybe next year too, but I definitely feel it happening soon. I mean, a lot of people already know this shit, and like the false flag attacks that happened, the sex trafficking, the women and children, and using, I don't even want to get into it, but basically, yeah. So once disclosure happens, I think the world will appear very chaotic, and like, since all of the shit will start to bubble to the surface, the shit that's already been happening, it will appear that the world is ending or going to shit, but it isn't. It's just like when toxins are forming under the skin and form into a pimple to be like expelled and popped or whatever. That's just like kind of a gross analogy to use, but that's basically what's happening. It may seem like things are getting worse, but we're basically just detoxing. We're getting rid of the toxic waste in our systems on this earth. And so we just have to remain calm, as the storm does its thing. What we're doing now, stay inside, read a book, meditate, and allow for the storm to pass. And trust that the new golden age is upon us. And oh my God, I have these prophetic dreams too, that of people just worldwide awakening and realizing that we've just strayed so far from what is natural. And so it's us just returning to what's natural. It's going to be tough. We're going to go through a lot of growing pains, but it's going to be beautiful on the other side. It's going to be an unimaginable world. And I think it'll happen pretty soon, honestly, within a few years. I think we'll be experiencing, oh my God, a whole new world.